People love to smile in your face while laughing behind your back. But life has a funny way of flipping the board when you think you've already won the game. This story begins with a joke at someone's expense, but it ends with a standing ovation. Before we continue, tap that like button, subscribe if you love powerful true stories, and stay until the end, because what happens will leave you breathless and inspired. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon in upstate New York. Light poured through the tall windows of the Harrows estate, catching the dust in golden streaks. The mansion smelled like fresh wax floors, cinnamon candles, and quiet superiority. Miriam Harrow, investment mogul, hedge fund queen, self-made billionaire, sat in her sunroom with a glass of white wine and her usual smugness. She wore confidence like a diamond necklace, shiny, heavy, and loud. Around her were the usual guests, 3 of them. Old money, slick voices, manicured cruelty. One of them, Gregory Langford, noticed a dark-skinned boy quietly following the maid to the corridor and chuckled. "Didn't know we were offering daycare with housekeeping now," he said lazily, sipping his drink. Miriam looked up, caught a glimpse of Patricia's son, and raised an eyebrow. "That your boy?" she asked, barely acknowledging the maid's curtsy. "Yes, ma'am. School is out today. I had no one to leave him with," Patricia said softly. Miriam shrugged, amused. "No trouble, as long as he doesn't touch the furniture." The guests laughed. Tarek stood still, hand by sides, eyes scanning everything. He was thin, sharply dressed in a hand-me-down blazer 2 sizes too big, and he looked like he didn't belong, but he didn't look uncomfortable. He looked calculating. That's when Miriam's husband, a retired banker named Charles, noticed the old chessboard in the corner. "Anyone up for a round?" he asked. Miriam smirked. "I haven't lost in over a decade." "That's because you haven't played anyone smarter than a Labrador," Gregory muttered. That's when the joke took form. Miriam's eyes sparkled mischievously. "Let's have some fun." She turned toward Patricia. "What's his name?" "Tarek," Patricia said quickly, already sensing something cruel coming. Miriam pointed toward the chessboard. "How about your son here plays me around?" Patricia hesitated. "Ma'am, he's just a boy." "Oh, come now. It's just a game," Miriam said, grinning. "Unless he's afraid to lose." Tarek looked up slowly. His eyes were calm, unshaken. "I'll play," he said quietly. Patricia tried to whisper something to him, but he gently took her hand. "It's okay, Mama." The guests chuckled as the boy took his seat across from the billionaire. She moved her pawn first, then leaned back smugly. Tarek watched the board for 10 seconds, then moved his knight. 10 minutes in, the laughter started to die. 15 minutes in, Miriam's smirk was gone. She leaned forward now, elbows on knees, eyes darting over the pieces. Tarek was calm, focused. He didn't fiddle, didn't ask questions, didn't gloat. Move by move, he dismantled her strategy like peeling layers from an onion. Slow, silent, precise. By the 21st move, Miriam realized she was losing. Badly. "Who taught you to play?" she asked, almost accusing. Tarek didn't look up. "No one." "Books," she pressed. "I taught myself. Mama brings books from the library when she finishes work." The room was silent. Patricia stood quietly in the corner, watching with equal parts fear and pride. By the 28th move, Miriam had no path left. Her king was cornered. Her queen was gone. Her pride was slipping through her fingers. "Checkmate," Tarek whispered, gently pressing his bishop forward. Miriam stared at the board. She looked up, then looked at the boy like she was seeing him for the first time. Gregory tried to make a joke, but even his voice cracked. "Well, that's unexpected." Tarek stood, bowed slightly the way he'd seen on chess videos, and walked to his mother. "May I sit in the kitchen, Mama?" Patricia was speechless. "Of course, baby." He left the room, leaving stunned silence behind him. Miriam poured herself another drink, her hands shaking just slightly. The silence was broken by Charles. "That boy, he's gifted." Miriam nodded slowly. "And I used him as a punchline." Later that evening, after the guests had left, Miriam knocked gently on the servants' quarters. Patricia opened the door cautiously. I owe you both an apology, Miriam said quietly. And I'd like to sponsor your son's education. He's brilliant. Patricia blinked, unsure what to say. It's not charity, Miriam added. It's an investment, because that boy, he's going to outthink this entire world. Years passed. Tarek went from state chess champion to an MIT graduate at 17. Then, a tech inventor. Then, the founder of a multi-billion-dollar quantum software firm. But he never forgot. In every interview, when asked about his origin, he said one thing. My mother was a maid in a mansion where someone once laughed at me. I didn't beat her at chess to hurt her. I beat her because I knew I could. And because my mother taught me something more powerful than pride. She taught me silence is the loudest reply. There's always someone watching you. Someone you think is beneath you. But life has this funny way of flipping the board and changing who gets to move the final piece. What do you value more, your ego or your empathy? Think about it. Subscribe for more true, powerful stories. And if this touched you, share it with someone who needs to be reminded that brilliance wears many faces.